What's up, guys? You're absolutely gonna love this.
I'd also like to bring attention to the public of what occurs after meetings.
This council member, his last name I think is Poindexter. He's out there in Edison, and he's the one that is council president for Edison, New Jersey.
Clips and snippets of the meetings are published online.
He was told he was going to be sued by another council member for trying to shut him down and not allow him to speak, or for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure. Keep in mind that I'm a journalist. I don't really know exactly some of the things that are happening, but I do like to point out little things like hypocrisy and things like that, and some of the things that I see.
Truthfully, I reflect on that day as one of the most embarrassing of my life because of how I was treated. Recaps are placed on YouTube with thumbnails showing headlines and images, like this is Celebrity Deathmatch or something.
And, he's, talking about mental disabilities and all kinds of stuff. What I think he fails to realize is, as a public servant, you're supposed to put all your feelings aside and work for the people. And I think that's what he's struggling with, and I think that's why people that know and understand laws and the rights of the people, that's why they got to stand up and put tyranny in check, put bad government officials, or maybe just incompetent government officials, put them in check. And I think that check and balances should go for all of the public officials. You know what I mean? That's what supposedly we created governments, to have checks and balances, on the people. But what about for government? What about for these players in that game of government, right? There's a lot of stuff that happens behind closed doors. Misappropriation of funds, special contracts. And if you guys have been following this story of Edison, New Jersey, they've been trying to violate Christo Macropolis's rights for a long time. Jersey Watcher, many of you guys know him as Jersey Watcher. And the reason why we highlight Edison, New Jersey so much is because of the fact that they have tried to violate Christo's rights so much. There is a lot going on, and we're gonna keep highlighting Edison, New Jersey until they straighten up over there. There was an investigation that was conducted on Christo, Jersey Watcher, and I don't know if you guys remember that guy AJ Benz, who I've highlighted a couple times. And I don't want to say I made fun of the guy, but I was just kind of repeating some of the stuff that some of the commenters said, like he looked like Indiana Jones or whatnot, and shit kind of ticked him off or whatnot. We had our spat, back and forth, kind of went at each other. But one of the things I think he understood recently is the fact that he was also, kind of being interrogated, in this one video that I put out where the cops are asking him about a fire. And, so Christo has been charged with cyberbullying, because of his channel or whatnot. And this company called the Unuzi Group out in Edison, New Jersey, what they're doing is basically trying to pin something on Christo as if he did something wrong. And the cops used a fire that happens on that property. It happens with black mulch, and it combusts on its own often, so it kind of catches fire or smoke or whatnot. And the cops wrote that into the report as if like Christo may have had something to do with it, or somebody else may have had something to do with it because of the videos or whatnot. It just goes to show exactly what some of these public officials are willing to do, the lengths they are willing to go to try to shut somebody down, from speaking and pointing out what's happening in government and stuff like that. So, I don't want to sit here and laugh at this guy, Poindexter.
I keep the heater right next to me. I cannot be putting my life in jeopardy. That's why I'm moving so carefully. Sweaty hated niggas gon' be the death of me. If you come at me with jealousy, you can get hit with the 38 specialty. Yeah, for sure.
I don't think he really understands what it is to be a public official. It's not about crying about your feelings, man. It's about working for the people, doing the right thing. And if you're not going to be working for the people, if you're going to be working for your little friends back there and doing what they want you to do, know and understand that you will be called out as a puppet. So without further ado, folks, I want you guys to check out this video and let us know what you think. I think it's kind of funny. And like I said, this guy's sitting here crying.
We're looking at why Poindexter is slang for nerd. Celebrity Deathmatch.
First, I want to say as Council President, I have a duty to run our meetings and conduct business delegated to Council. I believe I have done so in accordance with law, to the best of my knowledge and ability.
Just so you guys know, these politicians, they are trained to say these types of things. They do their job to the best of their knowledge and their ability. These fools already know that they got this thing called absolute immunity. You see, we're always pouting and crying about cops having qualified immunity, but one of the things we rarely talk about is these politicians, the courts, the judges, they have what's called absolute immunity. That means as long as they say things like they're doing their job to the best of their knowledge and their ability, they think that they can get away with just doing whatever they want. That's not the way it works. Watch it.
If there have ever been any affronts on my end, they most certainly aren't intentional. This isn't a jiu-jitsu mat. I'm not trying to grapple or spar with anyone here. I feel compelled to make a statement on actions towards me that occurred at the work session meeting on Monday, May 22nd. Truthfully, I reflect on that day as one of the most embarrassing of my life because of how I was treated by Councilmember Brusher. What's worse for me is it's forever embedded in the public record because of the forum in which it occurred. Whether as a council member, a resident, or just an individual wishing to be treated with common decency, I felt the actions towards me were exceedingly inappropriate.
I don't really think this guy would cut it as a politician out in the UK. Have you seen the way those guys talk to each other?
On the 22nd, I was shouted at on multiple occasions, both on live broadcast and during the recess, certainly not being treated with decency. He also insisted I attempt to silence him and others, to which I vehemently deny. I believe my actions, explanations, and requests throughout my time as council president demonstrate I have respected everyone's rights and have conducted meetings within what the law provides for. Additionally, to say I have ever threatened or intimidated him, I don't have words for. Even after saying all of this, I haven't even mentioned the worst part for me. That occurred during the recess. Maybe if those events occurred in private, I wouldn't be compelled to speak of it here, but it didn't, and instead was in front of public view. Imagine my embarrassment to be yelled at by the council member, stating he would start addressing me instead as council president, but rather as another degrading term. I won't repeat that here, but for reference, this incident did occur in front of the attorney and another council member. This is not fabrication. Also, I was extremely mortified to look out and see an individual with phones out seemingly recording the beratement. It felt like there was a hope that a reaction would be elicited from me that could be shared with others to portray me in poor light. Then in the following days, to have the anxiety with receiving numerous phone calls from people checking in on me because of how bad they viewed the behavior displayed. To walk into town hall and having employees and colleagues throughout the time here bring up the events, reliving every single time discussed. To be scheduled to go to public events, particularly with the holiday weekend, anticipating that you would be there and how you may treat me at those events. I'd also like to bring attention to the public of what occurs after meetings like that on the 22nd. Clips and snippets of the meetings are published online, some in longer form, with others with overviews portraying certain points of light. Recaps are placed on YouTube with thumbnails showing headlines and images, like this is Celebrity Deathmatch or something. In addition, meetings with decorum such as the one on the 22nd have resulted in communications to me that honestly could be considered threatening. So yes, when there are items brought up in a confrontational manner, I'm taking into consideration outside items as I have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness similar to anyone else here.
Wait a minute, folks. One thing I think these politicians are forgetting is that when they get their job, they sign away their rights for privileges. And this guy's sitting here talking about as if he's sitting out there in the crowd with the people. He's not. He's sitting up there on the bench. And these public officials, they have what's called privileges. They give up the rights for that.
As I have a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness similar to anyone else here, watching at home, or anywhere else. With all that said, maybe it's known, maybe it's not. But growing up, I was subject to bullying and have dealt with financial insecurity. Those events had negative effects on my life, having caused periods of anxiety and depression in the past. As everything transpired, and especially afterwards, I thought to myself, how ironic this particular event is happening to me during Mental Health Awareness Month. I mention this because the manner in which I was addressed brought back memories of past bullying. To be told I would be sued, knowing legal defenses have financial costs associated, and he not knowing my current financial situation, brought back memories of those insecure financial times as well. I want to thank everyone that reached out to me after the last work session meeting. Words don't do justice to the gratitude I have for the kindness shown to me. I mentioned the mental health aspect too, because I know there are many in our community that have dealt with the same, and I want you to know that you are not alone. In closing, I've never dissuaded anyone from discussing policy, expressing grievances or viewpoints different than mine. If I make an error, please speak with me. I've shown before I will try to adjust. At the end of the day, my only request is to do so in a respectful manner to all. Thank you. And with that, any other comments or? Hearing none, can I get a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Patil, second by Council Vice President Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This meeting stands adjourned.
So let me try to wrap my head around this. This guy wants you to basically kiss his ass, be nice to him, don't speak to him in a way where he's going to be offended because he was bullied before as a kid and he grew up poor and yada, 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 yada. That's all I heard from this guy. It makes it sound like nobody else has gone through some shit. And then when he says things like, you're not alone, well, pretty much you are. Because this guy is not going to fucking help you. That's the bottom line truth. Like I said, this guy tried to stifle Christo's rights. And it's as simple as asking him for his name, almost demanding it when you don't have to give your name. Loman versus Riviera, all kinds of different court cases will let us know and remind us that we don't have to give up the name. We can do these types of things anonymously. We can speak up, we can speak out against, these politicians and some of the things that they do. It goes with humanity, folks. Look, some of us don't want to be told when we're doing something bad, right? And we got friends to protect. We don't want to tell on them. We want to continue this kind of shit that we're doing, right, as a people. When you become a politician, you have, this position that you're in. And this guy's a council president, mind you. He doesn't really look that old either. He looks, quite young. And he doesn't look like a weakling, but to me, what I hear coming out of his voice is just kind of like a pansy, if that makes any sense. Just look, man, just do the right thing. When people like Crystal Macropolis come up and they want to speak out against injustice, against misappropriation of funds, and it's not just Crystal, it's other folks too in that community. They're sick and tired of it. The ex-cop who actually Crystal, if I'm not mistaken, had words with before, even the ex-cop pointed out how these guys are, giving out $1 million contracts without allowing bids, and then, the company that gets the contract hires a council member's family member. The fuck? You see what I'm talking about? Corruption at its finest, folks. And that's why we have to do this. And that's why these guys get butthurt, because we're allowed to share news. We're allowed to highlight what's going on. And I gotta say, I really do appreciate YouTube for allowing us to use their platform to talk about these things. I think YouTube is helping to fix, even though there's a lot of censorship going on, don't get me wrong, I ain't no fucking idiot. But, by pointing out government accountability and police accountability, these types of things, I think, are important. And I think YouTube allows us to do that, so I commend everybody at YouTube for that. You guys haven't cut us off yet, so thumbs up for that. But yeah, there's other social media platforms too. When you guys try to, shut the people down, the people got to find ways to speak out. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. And go subscribe to Jersey Watchers channel too. I'll see you guys over there. Peace out.